So our next speaker, Mr. Omarabi from bank, who's the bank's union advisor at Sudan Banks Union, speaking on today's topic, banking industry in Sudan, building for the future. Over to you, Mr. Omer.
Thank you, everyone, and a special thanks to organizers. I'll be talking on behalf of the Sudan's Banks Union. Sudan Banks Union established in 1994 to promote the Sudan banking industry, to help fostering cooperation and confidence between the bank's members, and to spread the banking knowledge in the society, and to help providing financial service to everyone in Sudan. What we will talk about right now, the current state of the banking industry in Sudan, and what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, and what are the plans for the banks to move forward. We have 15% or less than 15% of Sudanese who are financially included. That means we have 85%, they don't have access to financial services. This, if we compare to the international or neighboring countries, we find in Kenya, we have more than 83% financially included, especially through mobile services. This happened in less than 10 years, where 10 years back, Kenya has only 27% financially included. In Kenya, through Invest Only, which is a mobile money service, they move more than $2.4 billion on a monthly basis. This is, if you multiply it yearly, it's more than half of the GDP of Kenya. If we look into Kenya, India, the same. They are moving more than $286 billion on a monthly basis through electronic payments. Going to China, we'll find that Alipay and WeChat, two of the mobile service providers, they have more than 800 million subscribers. This is more than half of the China population, and they moved around $12 trillion in 2017. That means every Chinese, they used Alipay or WeChat with $8,000 US on that year. That's a lot of money. Globally, electronic payments or mobile money, the amount of money moved through mobile money is 1.3 billion on a daily basis. That means mobile money and fintech and electronic payments is now the norm all over the world, and that needs to be happening in Sudan as well. So what are the impacting forces affecting the financial industry in Sudan? The first thing is, of course, the geopolitical. There's a lot of changes in Sudan. We have a revolution. We have a new government. They want to promote integrating with the world and to promote democracy. We have also changes in neighboring countries. There is a conflict between Sudan, Egypt, and Ethiopia. There is a conflict inside Ethiopia itself between Tigray and the government. There's changes in Chad, new government, and even a new fight in South Sudan. So all over the neighboring countries, there are changes happening. Even over the world, we all, of course, all of you, they heard about what's happening in Afghanistan, and what's happening in Europe regarding the political changing happening there. All this impacting the financial industry globally, and of course, impacting the financial industry in Sudan. There are also macroeconomic changes. In Sudan, we have the SMB program, which is the agreement between Sudan and the IMF to reform the economy, and there's subsidy lifting and so on. There's a lot of economical changes happening on Sudan, and also a lot of economical changing happening in the world due to COVID-19 and due to some other issues happening in the economy of many countries. This will impact, of course, the banks in Sudan as well. There's a regulation changes happening in Sudan, merging banks, integrating with the financial industry, introducing the new traditional system in parallel with the existing Islamic system. All those are going to impact the Sudan. That means even the business model, I think people now, they are rethinking the existing business model, how EBS works, how the other banks works, how the technology is being provided. This all need to be rethought, and we have business models that adjust to the changes happening in Sudan. I'm not going to talk about the technology because many people talked about it, I will jump to customer. I think the customer is changing every day. They want the service where they are, how they want it, at the time they want it. All the customer in the world, they want this, and the Sudanese customer are no different. I'm going to talk a little about the fintech. I think we need to understand in banks and in fintech that the financial service itself is becoming now a small piece of the service chain itself. For example, if we take Uber, Uber is a transportation service. There's an electronic payment within Uber. When you ride Uber, you make an electronic payment. But this is a small piece regarding the service itself. Also, the same thing, if you buy from Amazon, that means acquiring service or commodity. And that's the main service. The payment itself is a small piece of the service. So now the payment is part of the service. That means the participant in those services, including the banks and the fintech, they have to understand, they have to collaborate with others who are providing or in the service chain. They have to be agile so that they can provide this, the financial service or what is needed in an innovative way and as fast as possible. So we have to rethink how we do the financial service in banks and in the fintech, helping the banks in Sudan. I'm not going to talk about the security and its importance because some people talked about it. So I will jump. If we look at the banks, what they want, we have to understand what the banks actually are running after so that we can collaborate with them. We can work together with them as fintech and as private sector so that we can have a good business. The first thing, banks are looking for liquidity. They want to increase their liquidity so they have more money to invest and so on. They are looking to differentiate themselves from others in a competitive way so that they become the top. Everyone needs to come with them. They know to increase their customer base so they have more liquidity. They know they need to provide services as fast as possible and to shorten the time to market. And that will help them gain more liquidity and gain more customers. And in Sudan, they have to focus on the unbanked, the 85% they don't have financial service. They have to access those so that they can increase their customer base. That's the main thing that the banks, they are running after. So what is the strategic look for the banks in the future? I think the most important thing is collaboration. You can do things yourself. You can become a software or an IT company as a bank. You have to focus on what you do and collaborate with the fintechs and the other partners. They can provide the service. And that could be done in many ways. One of the important ways is outsourcing cloud services and helping the intake. Banks also will be focusing on managing risk, including security, including ensuring that protecting the data. So the last thing I said, they have to provide tailored services. They have to stay connected with the customers. I mean, whatever you do as a bank or a fintech, you have to do what the customer wants, not what you want, not what you think the customer wants. You have to go to customer, understand what they want, and to provide them. The private sector is becoming an integrated part and a major part in providing financial services, because the banks need to focus on doing the core banking services and leave the technology and everything for the private sector to help them with, because with this they can become up to speed with the technological changes and the customer needs. I think I will conclude that technology is a key part in providing services, financial service to customers. We have to invest on the technology. We have to collaborate with the fintech. We have to adapt faster to what the customer needs. We have to invest in technology. And we have to understand now the banking industry in Sudan is playing catch up. They have been isolated from the international community due to sanctions for 25 years. and they have to catch up with the rest of the world. And I think the vehicle for that is to rely on fintech and the private sector to bring them there. I think the takeaway from this presentation is that the financial service becoming a small piece in the chain of the digital services. We have to collaborate, and we have to integrate, and we have to work together with others. We have to be agile to provide the service quickly to customers. We have the regulator, the banks, and fintech. They have to work together to provide services and to provide what the customer need. The e-payment is critical part in all this. And the conclusion is that the banking industry, they have to rethink how to provide the banking work now and to move to digital banking and digital service. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Omer. I think with the current new generation, the millennials, I think everyone is very tech savvy in Sudan as well, I'm assuming, correct?
That's correct.
So fintech and technology, I think, will be very easy to use. I think only the infrastructure bit, we have to just get it under control, I'm assuming, correct?
That's correct. We have issues in the infrastructure, but I would say we are 80% there, and the utilization is very little. I think what we need is a slight upgrade in the regulation, and I think the mindset in the banking industry and in the fintech itself. I need the banks, they need to work more closely with the fintech, not to look at them as competitor. And also, I think there should be some investment in the fintech so that they can be trusted by the banks, that they can provide the service to their customers, and they can provide robust solution that meet the requirements.
So as Sudan Banks Union, sir, what do you think is the requirements in the future, in the, let's say, next 3 months or 6 months? In which section do we see there is a need? For example, is it e-commerce, sending money, paying the cashless economy? Which particular section do you think there'll be more need immediately?
I think what is needed immediately is what we call financial inclusion. There is a program called Samarat, which is distributing $2 billion to 80% of the population. We have the challenge of reaching those families and giving them the money electronically. I think that's a big opportunity and a big challenge at the same time. We have the international remittance also. We have estimated around $5.4 billion yearly, the amount of the international remittance. People now, they are using the official system to transfer money to Sudan, but they are struggling in getting this money out of the banks because we are using the traditional way. Those people, they need the money in their mobile instantaneously, and they should be able to use it instantaneously. Now they have to stay online and so on. The last thing is, with the inflation, you cannot use the cash easily. So we have to provide tools that actually will make people get the services and commodities online, and the infrastructure is there, but we have to put things together. I think that the main challenge is to put everything together, regulator, fintech, banks, and service provider, and put the right rule and the right mix, which is create the ecosystem that's actually will work. From the customer side, they are ready and they are pushing to get those services electronically. And as you said, they are technically savvy. Just we need to work on the side of the banks, fintech, and the regulator to make this happening. And I see the fintech, they are very excited to be part of this, but we have to put things together.
All right, Mr. Omer, as your presentation says, I am possible, and inshallah, things will be possible soon. And till I meet you next year in person for the event. Thank you, Mr. Omer.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate having me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.